Hello, hello, hello. Let's do another video on a hero's theme. We're looking at evil and confronting of evil. Let's just get into it. So, one of the things that motivates, that pushes the characters to go to war in this novel is that idea of confronting evil. If you think about Larry, he goes there to fight the Japs, as he calls them, to confront that. And yet we have to talk about what evil is. There's that external evil of Frenchtown that we can see, the enemy, the people coming to attack them, the war. But then there's also some evil there that we don't see until the very end. Even us as the reader, we don't see until the end. Yet it's always there, always lingering. But if you look at the soldiers that we see, if you think about the two German soldiers, if you think that Francis shoots, if you think about Francis, they're very, very young. One of them, in Francis's memories, in his dream, you remember he cries out for his mother. They're apple-cheeked. The evil in this novel isn't always in your face. There's a lot of underlying evil there that we need to look at. And a key quote to think about is the one that Larry says there: "We love the thing that makes us evil." And I think we as a reader often agree with him. There's that thrill of doing things that we shouldn't do, and it's human nature. And Larry and Robert Cormier, as the writer, wants us to think about that, wants us to contemplate that. Why is that something that we enjoy? Why is that something that makes us feel good? For Larry, of course, that evil thing was his love of sweet young things, young girls. Remember to drop in those quotes there, like sweet young things. In your exam, you could say things like, "Oh, young girls," but get those words in your head, sweet young things. Get those words in your head. Those smaller quotes are really useful, and if they become part of how you speak when you're revising, they become something that you can use naturally in your essays. So Larry LaSalle, I think when we're talking about evil and the confrontation of evil, I think he's one of the things we would definitely go to straight away. He is worthy of admiration for some of the things he does. He does take over that machine gun nest. He does save those men and that platoon. But also in Frenchtown, there is that admiration for what he does at the rec center in terms of bringing those children a life and happiness and joy. Francis sees him as a father. It's something that he hasn't had for a long time. Gives him that idea of usefulness, of being wanted. And think about the other children's, Butch Bartignon, I think is his name. The bully who suddenly becomes a star in the show, and the shy girl who suddenly sings for all to see. This is something that he is good at. He's good at making people feel like they are something special. But it's because of this that attack on Nicole really shakes Francis, but also us as a reader. We're with Francis all the way through, and up until that moment, although we get hints, although we get teased with what it could be, all the way up until that night of furlough with Larry, we're questioning Francis. What could this man have done that was so terrible? He's wonderful, and with Francis, we are just as oh my gosh, how terrible this is! This is awful. I can't believe it. And it is unexpected. And then again in chapter 14, when Francis revealed that he's been attracted to sweet young things, an attraction which Larry himself admits is evil. We love the things that make us evil. He admits this is a terrible thing, it's an evil thing. And he hints that it's not just Nicole that it's happened to. And we have to remember that underlying evil there, underneath all this admiration, positivity, beautiful exterior, there is evil underlying there, and it's hidden away just until until it's too late. And I think that's a question that this novel brings out, is that are we all inherently evil? Are we all somebody who underneath it all, that goodness is false? So in terms of confronting evil there, Francis really struggles against that evil. He believes he's a coward, he's suffering, and he believes that that person he loves most, Nicole, part of it happened because he didn't stop it. And that for him is the greatest evil. In some way, when you collect all the things that Francis says, I do apologise. You could argue that he sees that lack of action as something more evil, more terrible, of a larger crime than Larry actually attacking Nicole, and that's quite a shocking thing to think about. Because the worst thing there was what Larry did, and yet Francis, no, it was what I did. I didn't stop it. I did nothing to stop it. I stood by, and that's the thing that inside him, makes him suffer, really punishes him, is this own sense of evilness and of who he is, and again hidden underneath when we least suspect it, not in your face. It's very ironic though that Francis doesn't carry out the mission to kill Larry, and Larry actually takes his own life. We'll be talking about Larry in another video, because he is somebody who his skills at manipulation are just unparalleled. They are unbelievable, and I think we do need to think about that, and we do need to look at Larry about that, but we'll look at that in another video. Make sure you go and find it. But it's this confrontation with Larry that Francis challenges him for this evil. This is what you've done, and asks him, why. And it's here that Francis pulls out that evil side of Larry, allows it to come to the forefront, so that it overshadows all that positivity, all that admiration, all that wonderfulness of Larry, and that we could see him for who he perhaps truly is. And it perhaps is possibly this that leads Larry to take his own life. Some readers will say that it was the fact that Francis was always somebody who had admired him, had loved him. Larry knew this, and to see Francis look at him in this way is what led him to decide to take his own life, and that it's Francis's understanding of his evil and his real self that pushes him there, because I think Larry is well aware that what he's done is evil, and that wasn't quite enough. But to see that from Francis, that boy who, in the way Francis saw him as a father, I think we could say Larry saw him as a son, with that love, with that admiration going and disappearing. I think that's perhaps why Larry felt that that was the option and what drove him to do it. So in terms of a little bit of revision on this, because it is a shorter one, look at chapter 14, okay? Look at that chapter where he's talking to Larry, and look at how Francis reacts, and how, as that conversation develops, how Larry reacts, how it begins to change, how Larry pulls him back in, but Francis sort of stays strong, and we see that interaction develop and change, and the power shift and change as the evil of our characters sort of come out into the forefront, where I think Francis finally believes and realizes, actually, I wasn't the evil one that night. I did something wrong, but I wasn't the evil one. Just see how that changes in that chapter, and ask yourself, why does he not shoot Larry? Why does he walk away? Why does he leave him there? And also ask your this question, why does Larry shoot himself? Okay, so I will leave it there. There will be more following. Make sure you look at them. Again, go onto that Google Classroom, send me some questions about this video, or if you go into the school email and start typing in Harrison, I should come up. But I know lots of you have my school email anyway. Send me questions, send me some answers, send me some essay attempts. Let me have a look, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. See you soon.